The title of this episode is Cabbage Nite and the Dirt Bomb Forts. This is being recorded October 4th, 2022. The date of occurrence was 1963 in New Windsor, New York, out back behind Hudson Drive where we lived. This involved myself. I'm Jack Lynch. I was 10 years old at the time. It involved Bobby Heft, who was 10 and a half, maybe 11 at the time, Billy Powles, who was 10, Brother Howie, who was 8, Bobby Cook, who was 10 years old. I think that was pretty much it. A year earlier, we got interested in making some forts. In the field back behind my house on 76 Hudson Drive in New Windsor was an old field. It had been plowed and unused about 10, 12 years prior. Things were starting to grow back. The brush was getting up there and all that. So we didn't feel bad about going out there and building a campfire. And then later on we got some shovels and we decided we were going to dig some underground forts. We dig these holes in the ground. They'd be 3 or 4 feet deep. It'd take all day to get one dug. Dig it way down deep. And then there are some trees that were growing along the field. These were 8, maybe 10 inches in diameter, really long, skinny things. We'd take our hatchets and we would cut them down. And we'd cut them into 6 or 8 feet long pieces. And we'd lay those along the top of that hole. When we had that hole covered with those logs, then we take all the dirt we'd excavated from the hole in a pile and we pile it back on top of those logs. So you just have what looked like a mound of dirt. After a little bit of rain, a little bit of seasonal weather, that dirt would pack down pretty nice. In order to get into that covered hole, we'd take our shovels and we'd dig down, dig another hole, and then we'd dig a tunnel through that dirt that was good and hard there. The tunnel would be 3 or 4 feet long, wide enough for us to barely squeeze through it to get into the dirt bomb fort, the hole with the roof on it. And we did a number of these. Some of the guys would dig their hole and they wouldn't put on heavy logs. They put sticks on it and put dirt on top of that, and the big kids would come by and jump up and down on them and just bust them in. The big heavy duty logged ones, they weren't able to break and they left them alone pretty much. We ended up with an area there of probably 5 or 6 holes in the ground with failure roofs that we never fixed. These were just holes. They were like cratering around the area. There's 2 or 3 of these big deep holes that we had that were covered properly, that were good and firm and solid. Those are the ones we used, and we'd practice running down to the dirt bomb forts, climbing through the tunnel and getting way, way back of the hole there where you couldn't be seen and couldn't be gotten to. We were pretty good at it. We could skirt around those empty crater holes there and get right to where we needed to be without falling, tripping, or having any problem. It was fast. We practiced making dirt bombs for throwing, for dirt bomb fights, but we never had a dirt bomb fight. The big kids didn't want to throw stuff at us because they'd get in trouble. And we didn't want to throw stuff at them because we'd get beat up. So we had our forts, and we used them now and then. We'd take candles and light them and go back inside there and burn a candle for light and that sort of thing. Sometimes we'd be able to get a hold of a flashlight, but that was the extent of it. They were the dirt bomb forts, and we were proud of them. Well, then came Halloween, 1963. There's a time, the day before Halloween, that they called Cabbage Night. That's when kids run out there and they'll take a candle or soap and they'll write things, or there's soap up windows or candle up windows, make marks and stuff all over them. If there's people out, you might steal an egg from home and toss an egg at somebody, or maybe even have a water balloon to throw. One of our favorite things on Cabbage Night was to take a pin or a needle and tie a little piece of thread on it, 4 or 5 feet long, and we'd have a bit of pitch, that sticky hard sap that's on a pine tree, that sort of thing. You could take a needle and put it between the window and a frame of a home. Typically it was a picture window. Tie a piece of thread onto that needle that's jammed in there between the glass and the wood, and extend it out there. And you take a little bit of pitch, a little hunk of pitch from a pine tree, play it up and down that thread, and the thing would sing almost like a violin. It would screech. The sound really wasn't coming off of the thread, it was coming off of the window. The window took the vibration and made the sound. You could get that window to just squeal. And with a good distance, nobody'd see you. And that's what we were doing on Cabbage Night. We'd go up to a house, put the pin in with the thread on it, extend it out, and start playing that pitch and get that window going. Pretty soon the light would come on outside. Somebody'd open the door and look. We did it at one place. A lady came out just crying and sobbing, and I guess we scared the crap out of her. We laughed at her and moved on to the next house, and when we got that house and played that trick, the man came out and he came after us, and we ran. We got pretty far ahead of them before we started to tire out, but we were in the vicinity of the dirt bomb forts. We just scampered around all the cratered forts and got right down into our hole, way back in. The guy fell down. He fell down a couple times and he was mad. He was out of control. He was yelling and screaming and falling. He did figure out where we were. We were quiet, but we were way in the back. He couldn't get through the hole. It was too small for him. All he could do was stick his head in and start yelling at us. Bobby Heft had a flashlight. He turned the flashlight on from way back in the hole. We're spotlighting the guy's ugly, screaming face, and we're laughing at it because he couldn't get us. The guy finished his rant seconds later. Got up. I don't think he left. We stayed in the fort another 5 minutes. Then I think it was Bobby Cook sneaked out, put his head out and looked around. Didn't see the guy, so we quietly got out. We didn't walk back the way we came. We went back to Richetti's pond, threw some crap in the pond, and then walked on back 15-20 minutes later. Didn't get caught. But that man that screamed and yelled, it was beautiful. He couldn't get us. He couldn't see us, but we could see him. And he's screaming in the dark in the dirt bomb fort.